In Cinderella by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, a young girl is treated poorly and forced to work for her stepmother and sisters. The family got invited to the prince's ball, but the evil stepmother doesn't allow Cinderella to go because she is too dirty. Cinderella is gifted by a bird a beautiful dress. She goes to the ball and is the most gorgeous girl there. The prince falls in love, but she leaves too fast and he can't catch her before she goes. She accidentally left her golden shoe behind. The next day, the prince orders every lady in the kingdom to try on the shoe. Whoever fit the shoe was his bride. When the prince arrived at Cinderella's house, each stepsister tried on the shoe, and it either fit too big or on the toe or the heel. The evil stepmother insisted that they cut off a part of their feet to fit, but when each of them rode away with the prince, two pigeons would say, "There's blood in the shoe," telling the prince that they were not the bride. The prince insisted that Cinderella tried on the shoe, and it was a perfect fit. The prince took Cinderella to his castle to get married. When the wedding came, the mean stepsisters came and asked for forgiveness to share her good fortune. The sisters walked on each side of Cinderella as she walked into the church, and the two pigeons pecked the sisters' eyes out. They were punished with blindness.
Charles Perrault's Cinderella, or The Little Glass Slipper, focuses more on the good in Cinderella's hearts than the Grimm version. In this version, Cinderella is visited by her godmother after her stepmother wouldn't allow her to go to the prince's ball. Cinderella's godmother then turns a pumpkin into a coach, turns mice into 6 sets of horses, a rat into a coachman, and then turns Cinderella's old dress into a beautiful gown with glass slippers to match. As Cinderella leaves the ball, she loses a glass slipper on the staircase, and the prince picks it up to then take it to the town to discover who fits the shoe. After the prince discovers that Cinderella fits the shoe, her stepsisters throw themselves at her feet begging for forgiveness. Out of the goodness in her heart, Cinderella forgives them and wants them to always love her. Although Cinderella could have easily ignored her sisters because they were so evil to her, she instead gave them lodges in the palace and even matched them with 2 great lords of the court.
Our first question was number 5. What is considered beautiful in each version? What is the benefit or purpose of this kind of beauty? In Grimm's version, beauty is defined by their social status and the way they look. If you are ugly on the outside, then it doesn't matter what is on the inside. Whereas in Charles Perrault's version, beauty is defined from within. In both stories, Cinderella is sweet and kind, but in Perrault's version, she is kind even to her stepsisters. Even when she was dirty, when the prince came to her home to have all the women try on the shoe, her beauty was still recognized by those around her.
The second question we picked was number 9, which says, why are the beginnings and the endings in each version different? The beginnings and the endings in each version of Cinderella have very different stories. In Grimm's version, it has a darker feel to it. In the story, Cinderella's mother is still alive. The story plot is the same, but Cinderella goes to the ball and the prince falls in love with her, and the shoe fits and Cinderella lives happily ever after. One big thing that stood out was that what granted her wishes was a bird sent from God. In the end of the story, however, the stepsisters' eyes are picked out by pigeons and they become blind as punishment for the way they treated Cinderella. In Charles Perrault's version of Cinderella, Cinderella's mother is already dead. Again, the story plot is the same, but there are a few major differences that stand out, such as she is helped by a fairy godmother, not a bird. Her slippers are glass, not gold, and the story wasn't as dark as Grimm's take on it. In the end, she forgives the stepsisters and marries them off to wealthy noblemen. The whole story was just more lighthearted and a happier ending. We decided to create our handmade thinking as a compare and contrast between the 2 versions, particularly the difference in the stepsisters' actions. In the Grimm version, the stepsisters cut off their toe and heel to try and make the slipper fit their foot. The stepsisters do this because they know that the prince will marry whomever's foot fits the gold slipper. On the other side of the comparison and contrast, the stepsisters are begging forgiveness for their evil actions in the version written by Perrault. Cinderella then forgives them and they live happily ever after in the castle.